Dead On with Randy Ulmer.
When guys decide they want to start doing their own fletching, one of the first questions they ask is, should I fletch my arrows left-handed or right-handed? And just so we're on the same page, what that means is a left-handed fletching or left offset fletching means that the front of the fletching is on the left side of the back of the fletching, and that'll actually make the arrow spin counterclockwise when it's viewed from behind. Right-handed or right offset fletching, the front of the fletching will be on the right side of the shaft. The back of the fletching will be on the left side of the shaft. And that's going to make your arrow spin clockwise. Most people's standard answer to the question of whether I should use right or left-handed fletching is that if you're shooting a compound bow with the release aid, it really doesn't matter that much. And basically that's true to a degree. But there's a little trick that I use that'll get my arrow spinning quicker, and here's the secret. Most bows will naturally tend to spin an arrow shaft that doesn't have any fletching, either clockwise or counterclockwise. So before I even fletch my arrows for a new bow, I go through a little procedure to see if I should fletch them left-handed or right-handed. The first thing I do is to tune the bow through paper until I got pretty good arrow flight, and then I take a bare shaft and knock it on the bowstring. I'll take a Sharpie marker and make a mark right at the very top of the shaft, and this mark's going to let me see how much the arrow's spinning and also which direction it's spinning. Now I usually start about 3 yards away from the target for my first shot, and then I move back a few yards at a time, shooting at each distance. By looking at where the mark is on the shaft, you can see if it's spinning clockwise or if it's spinning counterclockwise. The bow I'm shooting right now actually spins the bare shaft a full 360 degrees in 20 yards with no fletching. This tells me which way my bow wants to spin the arrow when there's no fletching to influence it. If the arrow naturally wants to spin counterclockwise, I'll fletch the shafts with the left-handed offset. Now, if you're to fletch these arrows with a right-handed offset, the fletching would have to overcome the shaft's natural rotation, stop it, and then start spinning it in the opposite direction. This wastes both time and kinetic energy. We'd really rather have the arrow start spinning as quickly as possible. And the reason it's so important to have the arrow spinning is to average out the differences in the mass or geometric imperfections in the arrow. Also, the quicker we get the arrow spinning, the less likely the broadhead is to take over the steering of the arrow. Remember, it's not a big deal if you don't decide to do this test. Most people never do. However, if you do decide to figure out which way your shaft wants to spin and then fletch it accordingly, it's going to give you a little bit of an edge on accuracy.